Hey y'all, Michael here from the Tackle team. Thanks for joining our channel Alliances and Partnerships track. I'm excited to be joined here by James King, Director of Alliances and Strategic Partnerships at Redgate, and Benjamin Soto, Partner and Alliances Manager. They've got an awesome story working with the Tackle team. Chelsea here specifically, who's a Cloud GTM coach here. So I'm going to pass it off to them to tell their story, and yeah, enjoy the session.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael. So my name is Chelsea Morgan. I'm a cloud go-to-market coach here at Tackle, and I've had the honor to work alongside the Redgate team as they have ramped up on their marketplace journey. So I'd love to get this started and pass it off to Ben to introduce himself, then James, and tell us a little bit about what Redgate does.
Awesome. Well, first off, thanks for having us, Chelsea. Really excited to share our story with everybody here. For everyone that's on the call or listening to this later, hello, good morning, good afternoon. My name is Ben Soto, and I'm the partner and alliance manager with Redgate Software. I work with James King and help lead our cloud alliances side. I focus specifically on the AWS and Azure relationship, driving our joint go-to-market motions, and of course, expanding our presence in the cloud marketplace. I've been in channel sales for the last 10 years and have been at Redgate for 2.5 years, really working closely with James to help build out our partner program. I'm extremely passionate about channel sales as well, especially about the relationship building side of it. And I'm excited to help create a channel strategy that aligns with our and complements our cloud providers. So that's it. That's me in a nutshell. I look forward to talking with you all today and hopefully providing some valuable insights on our journey so far. And over to you, James.
Thanks, Ben. And hi everyone. My name's James King. I'm Director of Partners and Alliances at Redgate Software. I've been here for about 15 years, based in the UK, if you haven't got that from my accent. And yeah, a little bit about Redgate as well. So from Redgate's side, we are a database software company predominantly. So we have tools that help with monitoring your databases in the cloud or on-prem. And we have software that helps with automating those deployments of the database changes as well. So very focused on databases, developers, and DBAs, which has obviously been great for us on this journey with AWS as well as Microsoft.
Thank you. So I've worked with many ISVs over my Tackle journey and a lot that are just getting started. And what made Redgate so unique to me was the all hands on deck approach to making this a successful channel for you all. You not only got buy-in, but you beat your revenue number by 600% in 6 months. James, can you take us back a little and talk about how you got the buy-in from your leadership?
Yeah, sure. So it was a bit of a journey before we even got started, I think. I mean, I probably started talking to Tackle about 2 years ago now. And I think one of the most important things, and people ask me this a lot, how do you get the buy-in? How do you kind of get this started? And I think asking questions and listening to the answers is probably one of the first things I'd say. So like understanding what was the problem we were trying to fix, and putting it in a way that different members of the exec will have different opinions on what they want from something like this. So making sure, for example, I'm saying the right message to the right person and understanding what it is they're looking for from me. And I'll be honest with you, Chelsea, like, I mean, you know this, but for people who are watching this, I didn't get it right first time. I went into the boardroom and I pitched this harebrained idea of going on the cloud marketplaces, and everyone looked at me like I was wearing a tinfoil hat. And I hadn't thought about like the data. I hadn't thought about like why. I hadn't thought about like, how. So I really had to kind of, I don't know, put my tail between my legs, walk out that room, and go and actually find out the information that they wanted to be able to make a good decision from. So it wasn't like we just walked in and crushed this. It was definitely learning by mistakes.
Yep, you mentioned the data. So I know you used Tackle Prospect as part of your data-led approach to getting your executive buy-in. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you use that data with Prospect to show your executives that there's an opportunity here?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, that's a really good point. That was probably one of the biggest pivotal moments for me, because I think I knew deep down in my gut, with what we do as a business and our customers, we had a really good market opportunity here, but I couldn't validate it. So I actually spoke with Tackle, and they gave us some access to the prospecting data, also the propensity data, and that was what I used to initially build my case and say, look, we have, if I take my top 100 customers and my top 100 accounts, this is how much high buying signals, I guess, there is through the marketplace. And it was it was phenomenal. I mean, I think about 75% of the people on this list were like a high propensity to buy through one of the cloud marketplaces. And that kind of gave me a really good sort of basis of, okay, what's our addressable market here? Who should we be talking to? Is this something that's kind of actually fitting within our ideal customer profile? And the answer to all of those was yes, which made it a much easier decision for the exec.
That's awesome. And Ben, as a partner alliance manager, you were on the front lines trying to get the buy-in as well. What was your role into driving the alignment internally?
Yeah, so I more or less did the opposite of what James was doing. While he was charting our executive growth and our product and our marketing side, I went down and focused on the sales side, right? Because obviously we know the executive buy-in drives our business decisions, but really the revenue starts coming once our sales teams are bought into it. So what I did is I really leaned into that propensity data. Again, I can't underemphasize how important that was for our sales teams to quantify the data and actually see the dollar amount within their own pipeline living in Salesforce to say, not only does this account show that flag to buy through AWS or through Microsoft or GCP, but also it's going to show how much money is tied to that opportunity. And it's been invaluable so far. So really started leveraging that co-sell motion, showing our account executives by focusing on the top 10%, like most of us do. Get those top 10% of your account executives working, getting success built up, and then sharing that story throughout the rest of the team, growing that excitement, and then leveraging that excitement to grow further.
Was there anything you learned not to do as you were getting this internal buy-in for either of you?
Oh, that's a good question. James, you want to go first on that?
I mean, I'd definitely say like the biggest thing for me was going in unprepared the first time. That was my first board experience, and you know, it wasn't the easiest one for me. So I think definitely understanding what people want to see and trying to align it to that. It's weird. Like I just listening to Ben talk, I feel like I mean, I've had 10, 15 years of sales at Redgate before I switched into this partnership thing, and I feel like I'm constantly selling internally. This is why we're doing it. This is what we want to do, and I'm sort of selling it externally as well. So you're almost like a politician, I guess. You're kind of like lobbying people to do the right things because this is why it's important. This is why it's good for our customers. This is why it's good for our company. Yeah, lots of shaking hands and kissing babies, like figuratively, not literally.
Yeah, and I'll reiterate that as well. The internal selling is so massively understated, and that's with any new route to market. You have to have the executive buy-in, so you're selling to your executives, but you also got to have the sales buy-in, so you're selling to your sales leadership. But then you think about everything else that's tied into it as well: marketing, product, engineering. How do you get them bought into the story as well? So I'd say when we first started, since cloud was new to both James and I, we hit the ground running really hard and spread out very quickly. Well, we realized we kind of needed to retract, be a little bit more strategic on our focus, and narrow our view, get those wind wires built out, and then expand out.
So that was my next question actually, is when you first got those early wins, how did you advertise that within the company? How did you gain momentum and excitement internally? So you mentioned wind wires. Can you explain a little bit more how you did those?
Yeah, so we have a Slack channel dedicated just to throwing out great things that happen within our company. So we'd share out all the big deals that close to the marketplace, and we'd always try to quantify it in some way. Was this deal faster? Was this deal larger? Was it easier to procure? And then when we take that, when someone, and I'd always bring another AE into it, they'd always be like, how did this person do this? Well, great, let's set up a call and talk about it. And this was well before we actually went through any of our sales enablement training. And one of the notes I put in there, and I'm sure everyone here can agree with, is perfection is the enemy of progress. So if had we have waited to do our roadshow, which we just did, where we went to every single office and trained on the co-sell motion, trained on cloud marketplaces, we'd be 8 or 9 months behind where we are now. We decided focus on those top 10%, share the win wires on Slack, get other AEs interested, talk to them one-on-one, pull their pipeline, get their management involved, and then start worrying about the enablement later on.
I love that. And what was the biggest area of resistance you saw with the sales reps? Were any of them giving you a hard time, or did you just kind of pivot and go to the ones that were really in?
Well, I think with any channel sales motion is the lack of trust for partners in general. So if we're just talking about the marketplace being a route to procurement, not a big deal. Put your tools up there, push your customers to buy through it, fantastic, you're good. But we're talking about building a true co-sell motion, a true route to market where you're utilizing strategic partners. We really had to make sure our teams understood AWS and Microsoft are not our enemy. They're working with us. We benefit them with our Better Together story. Our tools complement their cloud story, and our customers benefit by using both of us in conjunction. And that's always going to be a learning thing. Every time a new person comes in, you gotta teach them the way that the route to market works, not only channel sales, but actually using your cloud go to market. So again, trust, I think, was the biggest thing. That always makes sales a little bit hesitant.
Oh, I want to add on that as well, because I think you hit a really good point on the head there, Ben. Like, understanding why is so important for this. Like, why is this valuable? Like, I think everything starts with why in this case, and until you get that piece, like why should, I mean, for us as a business, why should we be on the marketplace? Why is it important to our customers? Why is it going to help our salespeople, like, move forward? Because I kind of have this whole thing of I look at the stuff talking around cloud marketplace, and I think it's like almost hyperbolic. It seems like it's like a unicorn. It's so beautiful, but yet can't be real. And sort of to validate stuff as we went, and to kind of go, well, this is what the expected behavior is, and okay, we're seeing that, and validating constantly almost. So the win wires kind of really help us validate the message that we've been talking about prior to this. This is what's going to happen when we go on the marketplace. This is what happened when we were on the marketplace. I think it's really important to kind of sort of give the right narrative and tell the right story, and really be clear on that as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. We talked about leadership and we talked about the sales team. What about finance, security, product? How did you get it to be a whole company-wide initiative? And were you able to get all the teams brought in at the same time to want to help? So
there was something it's probably like a bit tactically sort of clever of me, if I want to say so myself. But I chose an executive sponsor internally at Redgate who I knew was going to be able to help me unblock the things that were going to be the challenges. So, I knew that it would be a challenge getting legal paperwork done. It would probably be a challenge getting sort of infosec happy with things and getting some core time to make sure, we had everything in place and didn't break anything. So I chose an exec who was responsible for those teams purely because even though they weren't my manager or my direct leader, they would be the ones who could unblock everything for me. And also, it was a CFO, so they cared about, how does this impact our revenue and how does this impact our bottom line? So choosing, I don't know how other people would operate on this, but I would suggest to anyone looking to do this, like, choose someone on an executive level who can sponsor you and unblock doors when you need to, because having that right person, when it came to the infosec and legal problems, I didn't have problems. There was always a resource available for me because it was their boss that was telling them to do so, because the success was pinned on that. So yeah, choose wisely who you need to get involved, but also tell them why again. Like, no one likes having something thrown over the fence to them and saying, like, I need you to do this now. It was always like, right, this is coming up. This is what we're going to need. This is when we're going to need it. Do you think we have enough time? What else would you like? And that kind of covered everything off. So yeah, making sure, it's a bit like having a recipe. And funnily enough, Tackle's very good at providing that recipe. There's a whole playbook there that works. You just have to read it.
And if I can add to a little bit on that too, it's a constant learning thing. So even though our teams were engaged early, it's not like they engaged and then fixed everything and then walked away and we all of a sudden had a great route to market that with guardrails up. We're constantly learning new things, bringing those teams back in, and getting that buy-in early really helped us now. So when we engage them or they engage us with any questions or new strategies to really help us ramp up and scale this, we get a lot more buy-in now because they understand the why behind it.
Yeah, I love that. And if you had to give other partner managers trying to drive success advice, what would your advice be to help them keep moving forward? Ben.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll take that on. Find a James. And honestly, I say that in jest, but I truly do mean it. Where, I work in America, I work in North Carolina. Our company's headquarters out of the UK. That center of power, I couldn't have done it without James. Being there, not only getting our executive leadership bought on with his 15 years of knowledge of Redgate and knowing our executive team, but also his way to laterally get people bought in as well. You don't just have to convince the executives by yourself. There's a lot of other people parallel to you that can help do that. And James did a fantastic job at grouping everyone together, bringing that voice up to get that executive buy-in.
Perfect.
I feel like a firefighter half the time. So 90% of my job is just making sure there's fires and putting them out and clearing the way for Ben and the rest of the team to do their job is really important for me, because I think this is one thing that was very interesting is I had no partnership experience before taking on this role. I stepped into it from a sales role because we wanted to try and do this thing, and I had to focus our resources because partnership teams, and I'm sure anyone on this call who's in a partnership teams, they're small. I came from a sales team where I had like 30 people or 25 people reporting up to me. You had resources, whereas suddenly I was on a partner team and it was like me and Ben. And then it was like, okay, well, how do we do this thing? So I asked a lot of questions around like, who should I try and get in the team next? What do we need to do next? Like, it's not just what do we need to do now? It's like, but what's the next step and the next step? Because otherwise you can find yourself having to reverse course quite quickly or like change angles, and just knowing what that map looks like is so much easier for us.
Yeah, I love that. There's actually a question in the chat I'd love to read. What's the makeup of marketplace transactions, net new versus renewals? Did you get transaction with one opportunity type before the other?
I would say we're close to like a 50-50 split. Yeah, between net new and renewals. I wouldn't say we received traction on one more than the other. Obviously, renewals was a little bit easier for us. It's an easier conversation. The purchase is already going to take place. Hey, how about you purchase through the marketplace? Fantastic. Let's set up a co-sell call, get in front of AWS and Microsoft, close out a win, and then expand from there. Yeah, so I guess it's kind of a hard, for us specifically, I would say we've seen benefits of both. Neither one of them have necessarily gain traction more than the other. We're doing the same for both renewals and net new ACV.
I'd say it sort of started more renewals just because that was the lowest hanging fruit, right? It was kind of very easy to kind of jump in on that, but it's definitely feeling like it's turning quite quickly now. I think the key thing as well, like for this, is focus. Like, using that propensity data, focus on those opportunities are the easiest ones to get over the line, because you get the win wires and then you can kind of expand on that. But like, we just had to start with one. Let's just get one deal done, and then once we did one, it's like, what's the next one? And then keep moving.
I love that, and the win wires definitely help with that. I want to throw a few classic objections your way and have you just tag team the responses. So one we hear all the time is marketplace won't work for our product. What would you say back to that?
I mean, I spent the first year trying to persuade the companies to let us list on the marketplace because we don't even have a SaaS solution. Yeah, that was my first biggest objection, and technically it was the biggest objection you could have. Like, we're not suitable for the marketplace. But trying to understand, where do you fit in the marketplace, because it probably isn't for everyone. But ultimately, if you have a product, the marketplace is a way of unlocking budgets, and if there's a sort of a culture where they're buying online, which is kind of happening more and more. I think just generally as people, we buy more online than we've ever bought before, and this is becoming more the norm. So I can see a place for everything on here, but ultimately, like, I would say I would be very hard pressed to think of a reason why you wouldn't do it.
Okay, what about?
I was gonna say, I just wanted to emphasize that too. I would say, yeah, it's very hard pressed to say that most products are not built for the marketplace. That would just be incorrect. If you have a cloud story, your product is built for the marketplace. If you're helping people transition into the cloud, modernize the cloud, whatever it is, capture your cloud story, you have a cloud product. Use the marketplace. It's a route to procurement. And it's a no-brainer.
Beautiful. What about it'll ruin direct sales?
Oh yeah, this is a great one for me, especially being in channel sales for so long. Again, teaching our AEs to trust partnerships was the biggest challenge, of course. But the marketplace doesn't cannibalize direct sales, right? If anything, it's the cherry on top. It emphasizes and makes it easier for your direct sales motion. You're building that better together story with your cloud partners, right? And you don't even need to have partnerships involved. The great thing with the marketplace is you can keep those resellers and distribution involved with what you're doing, but that is a direct sales motion using the marketplace as a route to procurement. If anything, it is pure direct sales.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I agree on that. I mean, I think also just to add, like, it was spoken about yesterday in the session with Asher, but like having net neutral or net neutral comp on these deals, and the way we kind of look at it is, I mean, if you're doing a credit card transaction, it costs a percentage of that anyway. It actually it's an easier pill to swallow than even going through the channel stuff. And a challenge for us is actually how do we kind of mar the two together? And I think that's becoming easier with a lot of announcements from the hyperscalers around, multi-party offers and bringing distribution in as obviously a focus of a lot of them. But I think it's definitely a much easier route to market to do this. So yeah, if anything, it's kind of bringing the rest of the channel along now, and the salespeople on our side are already kind of, I think they're drinking the Kool-Aid already.
That's awesome. So I have one more objection, then we'll do one more question from the chat. The last objection is the lift isn't worth the return.
I mean, I wear a hat all the time now because I thought I was losing my hair doing this, and it was hard because again, you don't have a support network to lean on. But my God, it was definitely worth it. I mean, we talk about 600%. It's more like 1,000% now. I think we've just keep going and going. And I think the more it's one of those blockbuster moments. If you're not in it, you're going to lose out on a chunk of the market. People's money is moving this way, and I'm seeing deals all the time, and Ben more so than me, where there's just not a budget until you mention there's a cloud marketplace route for it, and they're like, oh, I've got a budget there. Cool. So again, it's not hard. Choosing the right partner makes it a lot easier. And again, I am 100% unashamedly like pro tackle on this. The work that is done for us and made it easier for me to do this. Yeah, it wasn't a hard job in that sense, or it could have been a lot harder if not.
And this
Sorry,
is
Ben.
a more selfish question because I hear it often, especially with the newer ISPs that are coming to tackle, and they're worried about bringing the renewals over to Marketplace. Did you have any objections internally doing renewals through Marketplace? And how did you mitigate that?
I mean,
I'd
say,
go ahead, James. Yeah, go ahead.
But I mean, to be honest, it's actually cheaper for us to go through Marketplace than through resellers. So in one respect, we actually save money for the business. But the sort of I spend a lot of time obsessing over the finer points and the subtext of every deal that has gone through so far. Like I'm obsessed with the detail, and I would say somewhere between every dollar we put through the marketplace, we're getting somewhere between 50 cents and $1 back. So deals that were kind of going to downsize, for example, actually ended up going for 3 years and increased licenses. And it's not just like one time, this is kind of repetitive behavior. And yeah, again, I couldn't necessarily speak for everyone having the same experience, but certainly there was a lot of skepticism over whether we're just paying money for something that would come direct anyway. And it's like, no, we're actually making more money off the same opportunities, and the customers are happy. And it's going through, like, I think we had one example where it took 4 months last year for a renewal to go through. Lots of discounts, lots of negotiations. Went through in 4 days. No discounts, no negotiations. Like, I mean, you can't really argue with that sort of data.
They added license this year too. So yeah, it's a huge benefit of moving from that CapEx to that OpEx model. If you're just finding untapped revenue. So renewals, not only are we seeing increased annual revenue, but we're also seeing our retention rate start going up as well.
That's amazing. I'm going to clip that and send it to all my customers. Okay, one last question in the chat. Redgate is listed across multiple cloud marketplaces. These hyperscalers often have strict requirements to allow marketplace spend, burn down, cloud commit, the new SaaS badge policy. Have you navigated these product infrastructure requirements to maximize revenue in each marketplace?
It's a great question. I'll take a stab at it first if you want, Ben.
Sure.
I mean, so we're on 2 of the 3 marketplaces. The third one was just a bit more challenging for us to get to with GCP, but we want to get there because ultimately there's a pull from our customers. They want to be able to buy where they want to operate. I think to navigate these strict infrastructure requirements, we just talk openly with our hyperscale partners. This is where we're at. I mean, I mentioned, we don't have a SaaS product yet. We're building it, and we're building it in conjunction with our partners. But like, we didn't have it, but being able to say, look, we're not there yet, but this is how we help our customers, and this is what our roadmap is. It meant there was a trust and ability to have an open, honest conversation about it. So I think just having the conversation, asking the questions, what do I need to do? Like, can I do this? Like, what would you recommend I do next if we do this? Those sort of things really, really make the difference in being able to kind of move forward. Because I think if I had taken that initial no at face value, I would still be scrabbling around trying to get here. So you just have to kind of ask the right questions and make sure you listen to the answers and operate on them. I don't know if you've got more to add to that.
No, that was perfect, James. I got nothing to add to that.
Awesome, y'all. Well, thanks, James, Ben, for joining today. Thank you to all of our audience for listening to great questions and engagement in the chat. And thank you, Chelsea. You crushed moderating that session. So all of you sitting here, we still have 2 tracks. So we have, but the next 30 minutes is really going to be focused on co-sell. So the next RevOps track session, you'll see why Medic is a game changer when it comes to scaling cloud co-sell. And if you want to hang out in the Alliances and Partnerships track, our next session features an exclusive look at Infor. They're an ERP that's really excelling on AWS, and they'll share more about their 9-figure co-sell playbook. So thanks, y'all, for joining. Thank you again, James, Ben, and Chelsea, and we'll see you in the next session.